Hello, I am Mona Fastvold, and I'm the director of the new Miu Miu Women's Tale. What inspired me right away was that I wanted to tell a story that was connected to one of the pieces from the collection. And I had this really beautiful dress for my press conference, and because I wore it in an environment where I felt really nervous and anxious. And putting that garment on was a little bit of an armor for myself. So I think that was my initial inspiration, was sort of bringing into that it was exciting to bring that piece into it and my own personal experience. And then there's something about that piece as well that brought me into thoughts around girlhood, into womanhood, and how you present yourself to the world, and how you are this sort of the private person and the public person. So I started thinking about like the separation of two, and started working with this idea around using these sort of smaller, kind of gentler little puppets that were an extension of the self and a presentation. So that's and then that's something that I've been excited to experiment with as well, was movement and puppets and life-size puppets. So and I was excited to bring in Celia Relson-Hall, because she's done a women's tale before, but she's also one of my oldest friends. We have known each other and worked together and spoken about movement, and been so close together for the last almost 20 years. So I wanted to bring her in as well to this collaboration. My relationship with Miu Miu started. I think I've done talks over the years. Miu Miu's always supported filmmakers, and especially female filmmakers over the years. I had a film that premiered in Venice, and it was COVID, and no one wanted to bring over my cast because various reasons. And my cast at that point, they were coming from London, and they both had COVID, so they felt safe and comfortable coming, and really wanted to come and support the film. So actually Miu Miu supported bringing over the cast and supported us with our premiere, and supported the film, and was there when no one else was. So that's was pretty special. So beyond getting to sometimes wear some really beautiful special pieces at special occasions celebrating my work, which Miu Miu and Prada always been there for us in that way. But it for me, that was my first introduction, was how they supported us on that film. So to direct a tale right now is quite wonderful, because I'm in the whirlwind of putting a film out and promoting it. So when the opportunity presented itself to me to come and do something creative that was playful, that was an exploration, that was just something completely different. Granted, I did bring in Amanda Seyfried, because we're a little bit linked at the hip at the time, and it's just exciting to keep on working together. But I also thought it was nice for her and Celia and the rest of my team, for us all to come together and do really just free, creative exploration, amongst all of these wonderful press opportunities that we also have. But that, of course, is very exciting to just focus on the things that I love the most of all, which is making movies and shooting. There's many other filmmakers and partners who've been extremely supporting through this process. I have my team, my cinematographer, who I worked on this last film, Will Rexer. We are really close, and I always find a lot of support there. I think for me, what was it was important for me to always produce, to understand how I build the whole film. That was part of having a lot of creative freedom as well, knowing how the film is put together and being in charge of every aspect of it. And then now I'm so lucky that I have some really incredible producers that I worked with. One of them, Maddie Browning, who is producing this tale, with us. She's quite a bit younger than me and we started working with her 6, 7 years ago. And she's really just blossomed into this incredible support that makes it possible to do these kind of shoots and these really wonderful bits and pieces too. Because she understands how we work, and it's nice to sort of pass that torch on to someone else and not do everything myself. But no, I mean, I haven't had any sort of full on like this is my mentor that I've been, that I go to, but I have a group of incredible filmmakers around me in my community. One of them being Celia. And another Women's Tale participant, Haley Gates, is another one that we exchanged ideas, and we show each other, we read each other's screenplays, and we watch cuts of each other's films. And I think having that, the more kind of community you can create around yourself when you're doing this job, the better. Well, it came out of necessity, for sure, but it's out of choice now. I mean, I shoot second unit for my partner, Brady Gorbet, and then he comes in and shoots second unit for me on my films. We produce with and for each other. We write together, but we know who we're writing for. We kind of, I think I like all the different parts of the process, honestly. Well, I don't know what men do and do not bring so much, because I'm not one. But I do know that there's an archetype and there's an idea of what a director is that I grew up with. That's not always true. There's many amazing, wonderful, warm, loving male directors who are very nurturing. But what's exciting is that the archetype that I think I grew up with and that I imagined was, this domineering kind of man who was mysterious and is off in the corner, and no one, like by his monitor, and we don't really even know what he's doing. And it's very, it's all kind of quite separated. And it's a person with authority and who yells a lot, I guess. And I think when I thought about it, I think actually, once I became a director, got to direct, I realized that to me, the archetype that I think is more correct for the job is the multitasking mother. It is the one who is like bouncing a kid on your hip and then cooking dinner and on the work call at the same time, and is just like able to multitask and at the same time be present. That's the correct archetype. So I think that imagining that versus this idea I had as a child, because I grew up as a child actor. I grew up on set when I was 8 years old. So I think switching that mindset and thinking there's no reason for me ever to try and be similar to that archetype, but instead just imagining that mother, which was my mother, who would finish writing a novel while raising a bunch of kids, while getting dinner ready, and was a single parent. Like that multitasking creative force, that's the one that I'm like honing in on. The best advice that I would like to give, because I don't remember the best advice I've gotten. I think it's just that's a combination of a bunch of wonderful conversations that I've gotten to have over the years. The best advice I would give, I think, is to really learn as much as possible about all aspects of the process. That's what I'm still trying to do. And the joy of doing a project like this is experimenting and learning more. And then I try to surround myself with people who have a lot of knowledge, more than me, and then ask a lot of questions and understand every person's job, understand it, and have a sense of what it is, and then so that you can communicate better. And then there's no reason not to shoot on film, even though people might tell you so. I love shooting on celluloid. Digital is great too, but I love shooting on celluloid, and that's available to women, and that's available to all filmmakers. It's not that much more expensive. It doesn't change the way you shoot. So for young filmmakers, I think Kodak has a lot of wonderful opportunities to support students and young filmmakers. So look into that.